Welcome back to the channel. So after last week's video of going through a reset and trying to up my training again from this week, find out what's happened, that I've decided to take a bit of a break from running and what I'll be doing in the meantime. So to start with, the week was going pretty well. So Monday, just went out for a recovery run, just fairly straightforward, something I'd normally do. Then on Tuesday, I went out for a slightly quicker run. So shouldn't have been too quick of a run for me. It was about 7:15 per mile for an 8-mile run for the hour. But towards the end of this run, I was feeling that I had to stop at about 5 or 6 miles, which I shouldn't have to at that pace. It's a fairly steady pace that I can keep going for the hour, although it is a little bit quicker than my easy run pace. But just felt that, yeah, it was a very tough run in the heat as well, and really struggled after it, and felt that I was having a few niggles the next day and the following day. So I didn't run on the Wednesday, and then Thursday decided to go out for my run, try an easy run. Typically I'd do a session on either a Tuesday or a Thursday, but I've not done a session yet this week. But going out for my run on Thursday, I got about 200-300 metres up the road. I felt that just around my soleus, the bottom of my calf towards the Achilles, was a little bit tight, and typically it would be a little bit tight at the start of a run and it would then ease up, but didn't really show any signs of easing up. So that was my last run that Thursday. I walked home, then decided I'll sort of try and get it back into a run tomorrow, the day after. But you know what, it's become a bit of a sort of challenge to try and keep getting back into running when I've had a few things that have sort of hampered me recently. So in the last year or so, I've had a bit of a niggle that sort of lingered around on my hip. I've not really done the rehab I should have done to get over this, so it's probably a good time now to sort of take a bit of a break, have a enforced time off running, so that it does allow that a little bit of chance to go down. It's probably diagnosed closer as a bit of a hip tendinopathy when I've been to a couple of physios about it. So they do typically take a little bit of a while to go down. And whilst I can carry on running, it's probably not a good idea to sort of do this with goals in mind that I do want to break certain times and try and push my body. With this, I think that will just make it worse. So I will take a little bit of time off, but during this time I don't want to be just taking time off running and twiddling my thumbs. I do want to be cross-training, I do want to be rehabbing this injury to get back as soon as possible, and think about sort of the things that I can do differently in my training when I come back, so I can hit the ground running in the next sort of month or two when I come back. And I've got Valencia marathon at the start of December, so at the end of the year I've got around 6 months until that, but it'll soon come round. So in terms of cross training, this is mainly going to be cycling and swimming, which at this time of year is pretty good timing to do that. So we've got a good weather forecast in the next few weeks, so getting out on the bike is going to be pretty easy to do. I will also try and get a bike set up at home as well, so get onto a trainer, but at the moment I'm not in a rush for that. I'd much rather go outside and enjoy the weather, enjoy getting outside, and sort of replicate that feeling that you get when you go for a run and you go outside and it's in the fresh air, in the sunlight. You sort of feel better about yourself when you come back. So I don't want to be sort of stuck in my shed or stuck in a gym on a bike. So that is the plan with the cycling, to sort of get back out on the lane. So I've got a road bike. I've done a little bit of cycling in the past. I'm not like the best, but I'm not like the slowest either. So it gives me a good workout, going out on the bike, and a little bit of a change of stimulus really. So the biking will be good, and the swimming, I used to do a lot of swimming when I was younger, so I can swim pretty well, but it's been a bit of a challenge for me to get the motivation for swimming in adult life. So I've got in a little bit of a habit of going to swimming, but it'll only tend to last for say 4 to 5 weeks, and then I won't go again. So it's been about 6 months since the last time I swam, but I swam this week and did just under an hour on Saturday of swimming. So yeah, I'll try and keep up the swimming, keep up the cycling. And the great thing about these two exercises is that it has very little to no impact on my joints, whilst it will sort of ache new muscles that I'm not using. So I noticed that my shoulders are aching a little bit today for not swimming for a while, and certain parts of my legs are aching that you use in cycling muscles rather than running muscles. So yeah, it will be a little bit of a challenge, but one I'm looking forward to, one that hopefully leaves me with some good fitness when I come back into running. So I will be showing you some rehab that I'll be doing on my hip flexors. So I think the cause of this, why I got this issue in the first place, I don't think it's anything mechanically to do with my running, but I just seem to have a limited range of motion in these hips. My job involves sitting down all day, so it doesn't really help, which causes sort of tight hip flexors. So it's a case of not getting up and stretching them, which may have caused this. So I've got this stretch that I do where I place one of my legs back, the leg that I want to stretch, and then bend into a bit of a lunge. And I can deepen the stretch by putting the arm up in the sky to sort of stretch through further on that hip flexor. And these are really good, and I can notice where my hip flexor is really tight on the right hand side, because I don't really have a lot of sort of static strength when I'm doing this stretch, and it's a lot better when I do it on the left hand side where my hip flexor is a little bit stronger. So it sort of worked its way from the hip flexor down to the top of my quad that feels tight. So this stretch is really good to stretch that out. I also have the classic glute bridges to do, so these are really good for strengthening my glutes, which if I'm activating my glutes more within my running, it's not putting as much strain on my hip flexors. So that's the theory anyway, and it will cause a little bit of a stretch and strengthening on the hip flexor too. So doing a few glute bridges exercises. I have these banded crab walks to do, so if I put a resistance band around sort of my shin just underneath the knee and get into a sort of squatting position quite low down, and then do some sideways lateral movements, so a bit of a crab walk there. So that's really good to put a little bit of strength in that hip flexor on the outer region of it. I also have some split squats to do, so this is a similar exercise to the first one where I'm doing that stretch to lengthen and stretch out my hip flexor, but this time I'm doing an exercise for it to strengthen it. So the split squat will strengthen my hip flexor in that region. And the other part of my cross training, which probably goes a bit unnoticed and a bit unrecognised, is a little bit of walking. So Lola's going to be my best friend in this, but I'll be getting out on plenty of walks with her. So not really a highly intense exercise, but it does get quite a lot of steps in, does get me that fresh air. And yeah, I do notice a benefit in my running if I've got a few more steps in than if I've been sat down all day. So it will have that impact, that it's going to keep me moving, keep that hip mobile, and help towards my rehab of my hip flexor. If there is one positive to come out of injury, it's that I can still be involved in the sport, supporting and coaching friends. So I know that when people get injuries, there's a couple of different ways to deal with it. You can sort of take yourself out of running completely and switch off from it, which is perfectly fine to do, and come back when you're ready. But you can try and still be involved and encourage your friends along, and sort of still be involved and feel like you're there within the sport. So that's what I'm trying to do in this patch. So I do coach, so I've got that coaching element that I can still be involved with, and it's great to see how you can have an impact on putting on a session or writing someone's training plan, and they can go on to achieve their goals. So we've had Ben, who's done a great result at the Derby half marathon. So I went over to cycle over to there to Derby, and it was about a 35-mile bike ride for me as part of my cross training, and it was good to see him knock off about 4 minutes from his last half marathon. So he did around 1:28 back in sort of February, March time, and he's progressed down to a 1:24 now, which is just outside of his 6-year-old PB. So it's great to see how Ben's doing and how my coached athletes are coming along. So I also got my coach sessions on a Thursday night to keep me busy. So Thursday night at 5:30 I do an hour coached interval session with a group. So if you're in the area in Swadlincote, welcome to come along. I put the details on my social pages, and that's gone really well in the last few weeks. We're trying to get a few more there and a bit more worthwhile session. The more people we get, the more people of different abilities are pushing each other along, and it makes for a great session. So I hope that's given you a bit of an insight into the sort of things that I'm doing to get back to running again, and it will also form a good motivation and accountability for me if I can document this on the vlogs. I know that whilst doing the vlogs, that was great for my accountability for my own running, but now I don't have the running, it's great to keep me accountable for my rehab too. So do let me know in the comments if you've had an experience of injuries in the past. I'm relatively new to injuries. I've not really had too many in my time that have kept me out, so I'll be welcome of any tips, any things to try, any little sort of positive messages that you can use to sort of keep your spirits up in this time, and yeah, how you've dealt with it in the past. So thanks for watching this video. If you did like the content, do think about hitting that subscribe button and you'll be notified of a video next week detailing what I've been doing cross training and rehab wise. I'll see you in the next one.